Attack the one big domino and everything else has to fall. When you're focusing on the symptoms, you'll always be putting out fires where you'll be reacting to the situations as they arise. When you look for the one big domino, that will allow you to take the offensive, where you're looking for the key catalyst, the thing that has created the situation that you were trying to come out of. So if you're trying to get out of poverty, what is the one big thing that is putting you in poverty? Is it your spending? Is it the education? Is it the jobs that you have? Is it the opportunities that you're making? Is it the people that you're hanging out with? What is the one big domino? And then when you change that, all of the things will start falling into place. That is where you always want to get started. Mohammed Ibrahim, who goes by Mo, is credited as being one of the first cell phone company creators that served the African continent, several countries in Africa, and even in some places where it's considered the Middle East, where he built this infrastructure where it said he had over 30 million clients, cell phone users, by the time he sold his company for several $billions. And of that, he was left with about 1.4 billion, some estimates make. And for Mo, his life goal was figuring out why was the African continent so poor. He felt like the number of people was manageable. He felt like they had all the resources that were necessary. It was a wealthy continent, so it just didn't make sense to him why all these Africans were poor. And he said it came down to governance, in his opinion, where he wanted to figure out how do we fix the governance. So instead of kind of going on to his next business venture, he ended up creating a foundation that focuses on ensuring that leadership is proper in Africa, where he has this pledge where if you're seen as governing in a proper manner, where they will give you $200,000 a year for the rest of your life. So you end up with like a multi-million dollar grant essentially, and all you have to do is govern in a proper way, which is really unheard of if you think about it. So for Mo, his one big domino was that there were a few bad apples at the top, not all of them, but he wanted to see if there was some way to deal with this issue of corruption within the system, and he felt like he had to address the issue at the governors. For him, everything else that you see, whether you're talking about food or education or opportunities, to him, if he knocked down the big domino of poverty, everything else would be taken care of. So when you're looking in your life and you're trying to figure out how do I create the lifestyle that I'm looking to get, you want to make sure that you're not focusing on the symptoms, because that will be wasting a lot of your time and you won't get the results that you want. You want to look for what does all of the situations that you have in your life that are creating the lifestyle that you have in common. And when you find that thing that they have in common, then you know you're on the track to finding the cause and not a symptom. Of the 5 approaches that Mo had to escape poverty and create a meaningful life, he said for him, education was always the way to get out of poverty. The more information you have, then you're able to position yourself where you're able to recognize opportunities. There are going to be times that many of us are in a good position, but we just simply don't know enough, right? So if you were around in 2012, for example, when Facebook came out on their IPO, if you knew enough about the tech companies, and maybe you would have invested in Facebook, and that would have been a great opportunity for you. But if you didn't have enough information, if you did not understand the intricacies of it, you may have missed that opportunity. You read these stories about these different people who invested in these startups very early and how successful it was for them. Well, when you read into the background, you often find that they have some sort of knowledge, some sort of education base that helps them within that particular sector. Now, for you, when you're talking about education, that may simply be the idea that I want to make sure I graduate high school. That may mean that I want to go to college. That may mean that you want to get some sort of a technical skill. You want to be able to use your education to increase your market value. The more valuable you are to the market, the harder it is for you to be replaced, the more that you can command from the market. Very simply, you'll find that we have things called skilled labor and unskilled labor. If you have an unskilled labor position, right, if you have an entry level job, the idea is I'm going to pay you minimum wage, and then when you're ready to go, I'm going to put someone else in your exact position, and they'll be up to speed in like a week. But if you have a high skilled level position and you're talking about someone who's in management, or even if you're looking at someone in the C suite, one of your executives, when they leave, it is a big deal that most of the time when someone in the executive position leaves, often the new executive does not even try to retrace the steps. They usually just create their own process and their own initiatives because it's very difficult to just replace someone in the sense that someone else is going to come in and create the exact same value. Skilled level people are very difficult to replace on a one-to-one. You could get another skilled person who has different skills that you can utilize and go in a different direction, but to find someone who fits that exact framework as you can in an unskilled position is highly unlikely. So if you're looking to escape poverty, then you want to increase your market value. Number two, as you're building your wealth, you want to make sure you're giving money in a meaningful way. And so what Mo was talking about is he said, look, I got all the money. He said, I can't take it with me. So he's like, what am I going to do with it? And for him, he's like, okay, well, there are certain causes that I want to work on. We already talked about one earlier where he felt like to eliminate poverty in Africa, that he needed to work on the corruption in the governance. And so he's giving his money to help these politicians to make the right decisions for their people. He also gives money to medicine to cure different diseases and issues that people are dealing with. He gives money to cure hunger, where he's trying to resolve these issues. Because for him, if you're giving your money in a meaningful way, you are then creating a more meaningful value for money, right? Like, what does it really mean to be a millionaire? Like, why is it something that most people are striving for? Why is it something that I'm working for as far as eliminating the fact that black wealth will be zero in 2053? The idea is the money is going to create opportunities for you, create opportunities for your family, for your loved ones, opportunities to live in a certain area, to be safe, to invest in a business, or to homeschool your kids. Like, these opportunities will be endless. Money is really just a piece of paper, right? When you really think about it, the value that you derive from money is what you do with it. So if you give it to a charity or your local congregation, or you invested in solving some of these problems, now your money has meaning and it has significance, where you're not just getting money like Scrooge McDuck so you can put it in a vault and just kind of swim in it whenever you feel like it, right? That's not really the point of it. The point is that you're looking to create more opportunities that you did not have access to before, because you want to be able to create a better lifestyle for those that you love. You want to be able to leave the world a better place than when you found it. And that's a good place to just plug in the show notes. You guys know forecasthope.com/opportunity. You'll be able to get a free resource to create a lifetime millionaire success blueprint for yourself. So that's for free. Take a look at it. There you go. That's my shameless plug for the day. Number three, it's important to understand that there are going to be a few bad apples. And it's important to understand, right? Like, there's some examples that we're able to use where you say, hey, what do you think's more likely? Someone to get struck by lightning or someone to get bit by a shark? And most people choose getting bit by a shark because that is what they've seen more often. It is something that's easier for the news to portray, and because they show it to you, you end up getting what's called like recency bias, where you've just seen it. So you're like, well, that must mean that it's more likely to happen. But it's actually being struck by lightning by a significant margin is more common than being bit by a shark. So Mo wanted to make sure that we understood that when you are trying to escape poverty, that you have to understand that there are going to be a few bad apples. There are going to be people who will take advantage of you. There are going to be situations that just aren't right for one reason or another, but you cannot allow that to deter you from striving towards that inner drumbeat, that message that you have inside of you. You want to be able to say, you know what, there are going to be some situations in my life where I'm going to make a decision and it's not going to work out. That is going to be bad, but that is not a sign that you are doing something wrong or that you should revert back to the simple life that you had, that there's no opportunity for you to create these opportunities that you would like to have for your family and yourself. That's not what it means. So you want to be able to understand that your mind naturally hones in on the negative experiences. And so you are going to be magnifying these events. You don't want to allow these fears and self-doubts to grow and manifest into procrastination, where you are unable to do what is necessary to create the lifestyle that you want. Accept the fact that there are going to be a few bad apples, there are going to be some mistakes, things are not always going to go right, that the swift doesn't always win, and sometimes the bad guy can live another day. But it does not mean that you should give up. It does not mean it's impossible for you to change your life and accomplish your goal. It just means that you have to work a little differently than maybe someone who has the inside track would have to work. It doesn't change the fact that you can't get there, just changes the approach that you have to take. Naturally, number four then would be, you want to be transparent. If you're trying to kind of combat this idea that there's a few bad apples out there. You want to encourage people, you want to give them the hope. One great way to give hope to someone is to be transparent. Let people know why you're out there doing it. Let people know that you're genuine. Let them judge for themselves whether you're someone that they want to build a relationship with, whether they want to partner with in their business, or whether they want to just watch the information that you're sharing. That's why I'm very transparent about what I'm trying to do. I understand that that is going to turn some people off, but I also know that it's a decision that you get to make for yourself. There's no reason for me to pretend and to manufacture a message that I believe will be well received, as many of our politicians do, unfortunately, where they poll test their answers, and then when they get elected, then they just do whatever they were going to do anyways. I think that that's the wrong way to go, because it creates that cynicism where people are like, well, all politicians are corrupt, they're all looking out for themselves, or where people start losing faith in the institution. If you want to be able to escape poverty and have a meaningful impact, then you're going to want to make sure that you are building that foundation on integrity. And the best way for you to do that is to share along the journey, to always be transparent. And number 5 is right where we started. You want to make sure that you're attacking the one big domino. Do not waste your time on the little things. You'll have all these little wins, but you won't be actually working towards something. You want to make sure that each of your small wins are aligned with your medium-sized goals, and that those are aligned with your life goals. It is not something that you want to have it scattered where you have these life goals that are over here, but your medium goals, right? You're like, well, I gotta eat, I gotta make sure I'm making a living. But as you use your time, you only have so much time each day, and you're not going to be able to accomplish your long-term goals if you are constantly sacrificing your immediate term because you're worried about short-term success or short-term gratification. You don't want to fall into that trap. You want to make sure that you're focusing on the one big domino. You want to maximize your time. We don't get more of it. Time is the only thing that we do not get more of. Money, sure, we can get a side job. We can figure out how to get more money. We can sell all of our stuff on eBay. You can figure out how to get more money, but you won't be able to figure out how to get more time. Your time is your most valuable asset, so you want to treat it as such. Make sure that you're working intentionally in a manner that allows you to accomplish your 2 or 3 life goals by taking these actions consistently every single day. As we mentioned, living the Achoja lifestyle where you have a disciplined daily approach that's going to work for you and get you the results that you want. Mohammed Ibrahim, he used these 5 methods for him to create that lasting and meaningful, significant legacy, and also for him to escape poverty. You want to make sure that you're able to take some of these lessons, see which ones you can apply in your life immediately, which ones you're already doing a great job on. I do always think that that's something that you overlook, is that we're already doing some things each time. We always focus on the negative, but remember, more times than not, that's just your mind playing tricks on you. It naturally focuses on the negative. It just wants to make sure that you stay alive. So it just wants to bring that information out to you to keep you from taking action. But just talk to yourself, remind yourself, this is not going to kill me. This is not as bad as it looks. Sure, there are a few bad apples, but I know that I'm going to be able to work my way through this. I'm going to gain the experience necessary, and then I'm going to be able to capitalize on my next opportunity. Until next time, I'm Dre. I'm thankful for your time. Continue blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life. And as always, better self, better wealth.